Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to an extra special bookish chat in the book corner here today. Today I am welcoming special guest Anna Rose Johnson, who is the award-winning author of The Star That Always Stays. So I'm going to invite her in here and we will get going. I'm so excited, you guys.
It looks
Okay.
it looks right for
Oh,
me, like how it looked
okay.
on the practice. So
On the track.
hopefully everyone
Okay.
else. Okay.
Well, that's good. And Kelly said she can see us both. So I'm
Okay.
going to pretend I can see you because it looks like everybody else can see you. So that's wonderful. It's probably my tech thing. I apologize for that. So thanks for bearing with us, everyone. Thank you, Anna Rose, for being here. I said a little bit in the when I first started the video about how you are the award-winning author of The Star That Always Stays, which I have behind me, and also The Luminous Life of Lucy Landry. So welcome. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's really fun.
Good, good. So we are going to chat about vintage children's lit today because we both, I think we share a love for that. So that is something that inspires you in your writing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I have loved vintage children's books for a long time, and I feel like they really have informed the way that I write. The style of those books has kind of gotten embedded in my own writing style, and um, yeah, it's just really cool. It's a wonderful, genre of stories, and um, it's been a joy to be able to write books that feel similar to those.
Yes, it's a joy to discover books that are similar because, as an author who is continuing to write, we get to look forward to more from you. So I'm
Yeah,
excited about that. You have, and you're continuing to do so, right? So we're gonna have a talk about that later about you've got a new one coming out. So
yes, that's right.
exciting. That's so exciting. So what are some of your, if you'd like to share with our viewers, what are some of your very favorites of vintage children's literature that, whether they inspired you the most or whether it's, just something that you love to curl up with and read?
Yeah, I have so many favorites, and ones that, yeah, did inspire the writing of my books. Yeah, I have a whole stack here we can talk about.
Yeah. Oh,
Um,
great. Sounds good to me. All the book recommendations.
yeah. Um, okay, so I think I would start with Elizabeth Enright is one of my very, very favorite authors, and I know she's one of your favorites
I got it
too.
right here.
We both have them.
Yes.
So yeah, the Melendy books or Melendy. I've heard different
I
pronunciations.
knew. I was going to ask you if you knew because I always said Melendy when I was reading them. It was always the Melendys. But the
Yeah,
audiobooks, they say Melendy, which threw me for a loop. So
yeah.
I was going to ask you if you
It's,
knew.
it's the same way with me. I always pronounced it Melendy, but I tend to mispronounce names. So, um,
I
and
remember
then I
reading or hearing that if you mispronounce something, that means you know you're a good reader because
yeah,
you've been reading a lot rather than listening. So
yeah, yeah. So I love that whole series. There's 4 books. Um, that's really fun. And I also love her Gone Away Lake series.
uh-huh.
There's 2 books. Have you read those?
I don't think that I have read Gone Away Lake. I think I got it out once from the library and then had to return it before I read it. If I did, it was when I was a child and I don't remember the story. So just like briefly, what's the synopsis?
Yeah. So Gone Away Lake is
Guys,
about.
I was listening. Okay, Anna Rose, are you back? I'm so sorry. I don't know what happened.
I don't know either. I
Sorry.
think that my video froze. So I
Mine
don't
did,
know.
mine did too. All of a sudden it just froze and stopped. So okay, let's pick back up where we left off. And I think I can splice the last one and this one together. So let's just go right back into Gone Away Lake,
Okay.
where you were talking. I apologize. I don't know what's going on. I apologize.
Well, we'll just do the best we can.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Gone Away Lake, I don't know where it left off when I was talking.
You
But basically,
said, let's just start back at the beginning. I'm so sorry. I don't know either.
yeah, so it's Portia and Julian are the main characters. They're cousins. They go exploring on this property, and they find basically an abandoned summer resort from the turn of the century. And it's just a really fun story. They make friends to older people who have moved back into the resort. And there's just lots of fun adventures, and it's a great series.
Oh, that sounds lovely. I'll have to pick it up again because I didn't delve far enough into it. So awesome, lovely.
Yeah, it has a little bit of a slow beginning, so you kind of have to get past that to get to the good part, which reminds me, similar to, you have to get past the somewhat slow openings of the Noel Streatfeild books. Like,
and here's where I admit that I have never read any Noel Streatfeild books. I just fade away right now.
Well, I actually think that is really kind of cool, because you would get to explore them all now. And I think that's just amazing to think of not having ever read one of these. Is like, that's really fun, because I'd love to be able to read some for the first time. So yeah, there's Theater Shoes, one of my very, very favorites.
Okay. Should I
start
there?
I think it would be a good one to start with.
Okay.
It is. I got this. This is the British text. There's the U.S. text is actually abridged. So it's a little bit shorter.
Okay.
This is the Puffin edition, and so I think it's 400 pages.
Wow.
444.
Wow. For a kid's book, that's really long.
Well, but the text is somewhat large, so that is a really good one to start with. I love that one. I also love the Bell Family. This one.
I've heard of this one. I haven't read it, but I've heard of it.
It's a really good family story. And again, it opens with a long description of London. So you have to get past that to get to the part about the family. Okay, and then this one, Caldicott Place, also excellent. And I think you would really like The Growing Summer.
I haven't heard of it. I mean, I think I've heard the title, but I don't know anything about it. I'm writing it down now.
Yeah, it's these four siblings go to live in Ireland with their great aunt, and it's really good. And it's very different from some of her other books, because a lot of her books featured like dancing and acting, which I really like. But if you're looking for something else, that would be this one. This one is just kind of more of a basic family adventure story.
Kelly is saying it sounds amazing, and Megan says that she loves Gone Away Lake, so she's read that one before.
Yeah, that's great.
Good. I wish I could see you. My tech is making it so, but at least I can hear you. So that's something.
Oh yeah, I forgot you can't see me, and I was holding up the books.
That's good. That's okay, because our viewers can see you. So perfect. That's perfect.
All right. So yeah, another one that I really like, that I don't see discussed as much, is Friendly Gables by Hilda van Stockum. And this is the last book in her Mitchell's trilogy. And all of the books in that series are really good, but the last one is my favorite. Probably because I read it first.
Only Hilda van I'm writing all this down. The only Hilda van Stockum I have read is A Day on Skates, and I love it. It's so good. So, right? A Day on Skates.
Yeah, think that was a Newbery book, but I have never seen that anywhere. So I need to find that.
It's so lovely. So Friendly Gables, you said, is this one?
Yeah.
And I've heard of this special series. So I think that one's pretty popular, right?
Oh yeah, I think that a lot of people have read them since they were reprinted, maybe like 20 years ago. But I have my original copy of Friendly Gables from the 60s, which is cool.
I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah. That one is really good on audio. I actually am listening to it on audio right now again.
Who's the narrator for that one?
I think that the narrator is Mary Sarah Agliotta, and she narrated the Happy Little Family books by Rebecca Caudle too. So yeah, she's a really good narrator.
I feel like a narrator can kind of make or break it, you know, like there have been stuff. Yeah. There are some times where the audiobook, you're just like, you can't get into it because you can't get past the narrator. So I love when you can find those good ones.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nice to find a narrator who just does such a good job with, you know, particular books, especially ones that you read a lot, and so you have a very firm idea of what it should sound like.
Yes. When I was growing up, my sister and I used to listen to books on tape, and one of our favorites was Anne of Green Gables, Anne of Avonlea, and Anne of the Island, and they were all narrated by Megan Follows. And so to this day, when I read any one of those books, I can still hear her voice in my head, and it's lovely. I love it.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
That must have been fun to listen to.
Yeah, they were. We would do it while we were like knitting or, you know, like, you know, crafting or, you know, whatever, things like that. So it's just such a nice like soundtrack to the days that, you know, so I don't know, it's kind of nostalgic for me. Her voice is classic anyway, so.
Yeah, okay, so another author that I really like is Jean Little. And I've talked about her books quite a bit on like my blog and Instagram. So my very favorite of hers is From Anna. Actually, I guess it would be From Anna, I think is how she pronounced it, but because my name is pronounced Anna, that's how I pronounce it. It's a really, really wonderful story about a girl who moves from Germany to Canada in the 1930s, and you know, so adjusting to her life there, and she finds out that she can't see very well, and so she gets glasses for the first time, and that really kind of changes her life, and so that's a really good story. Another one of Jean Little's is Mine for Keeps. That one is also amazing. And this one was recently reprinted. This is the Puffin edition from 2023. Her books are harder to find because they haven't been reprinted as much. So I was really excited to see that one get republished again.
Yeah, I don't think I know anything about this author. This is a new one to me.
Oh, good. Yeah, she has lots of really good ones.
Right. Oh,
yeah, they were from like the 60s and 70s. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Cool. I just wrote it down.
Oh, good. Yeah, I have so many that I could talk about. I don't know how many.
I mean, I like to. I'm trying to think here. What did we talk? Well, we said about the one that I was hoping to talk to you about if we could. I mean, we can definitely get back to your stacks, but I do want to talk about this one if we could, which is They Love to Laugh. So I think that you, I think I posted about this or something. I can't even remember. I don't know if I talked about it.
I think you had talked about it in one of your lives. And
okay.
I had commented saying I had read it.
Okay, and I never heard of anybody else who knew this one or read this one, and so I was like, oh my gosh, somebody else knows this book.
Yeah.
So just for our viewers, this is a book about 16-year-old Marticia, I think. Yeah, Marticia, who is orphaned and moves in with a Quaker family, a very boisterous Quaker family, who has 5 boys. They have 5 boys and a girl, I think. and Marticia is kind of like a more solemn, serious kind of a person, and is totally unprepared for the kind of raucous joking that these boys are up to, and so she kind of has to adjust to that. So it's set in 1831, because I just looked it up before we got on here, because I was like, I have to know what North Carolina in 1831, and it is the author's based loosely on the author's ancestors,
Yeah.
which is kind of cool. And she includes a scene in here of like a meteor shower or some kind of phenomenon that happened that year, which I thought was kind of like a cool link to it's like in historical fiction. It's kind of fun where there's like an actual event
Yeah.
that it is linked to. So I first came to this book when I was a teenager. What about you? Have you known it for a long time as well?
Yeah, I was a teenager when I read it too. So yeah, I have known about it for a while. This is actually my sister's copy. She's let me sort of permanently borrow it. Yeah, I thought it was really cool as well to find out that it was based on the author's ancestors. Because when I first read it, that was around the time when I was starting to write The Star That Always Stays, which is inspired by my ancestors. And so when I realized that, I thought it was such a cool connection, because I really like it when you find out that the characters are actually inspired by real people. I think it's really cool.
And in your book too, which the first time that I read it, we did audiobook, but when I actually looked at it, you have here pictures of your of Norvia, right? She was your great grandmother?
Yes, that's right.
And so that's so cool, because it's almost like the other thing that it also reminds me of is the American Girl books, where they always would have like the real deal in the back. There'd be the story, and then in the back there'd be, like, this is what actually happened during that time. So I think that's so cool. What a cool connection. How fun.
That is really fun. Yeah, I was really happy that we were able to include those pictures.
Yeah, that's so cool. I don't know much about publishing, but did you have to like ask them, or like how did that come about?
I think it was that I had sent a couple of pictures of Norvia to my editor so that she could pass them on to the cover artist to help her draw the picture. And so then my editor thought it would be really cool to include some of the family photos in the back of the book. So it was a really good idea.
Yeah, really good idea. Cool. That's awesome. Well, what else did I want to ask you? I guess maybe a couple more book recommendations from you, and then there's a couple I want to ask if you know.
Okay.
So what else would you like to share? A couple more books from the book.
I think I'm trying to pick ones that like maybe are less well known, because that can be fun. This is one I read.
Sorry, go ahead.
This is one that I read not that long ago. Sea Crow Island by Astrid Lindgren.
Okay.
And it's a really, really good story. When I got it, it says in the front that it's perfect for fans of classic stories such as Little Women and Anne of Green Gables. And as soon as I read that, I'm like, oh, well, I'm going to like this book.
I'm in.
Yeah, it's set in Sweden, which is really fun, because you don't find that many middle grade books set in Sweden.
And if our viewers don't know, that's the author of Pippi Longstocking. So
yes, and this book is a completely different style. It's it's still funny, like Pippi is, but it's a little bit more. I would say it reminds me most of the Penderwicks. There's a lot of parallels to that. So it's a really good book, and I would definitely recommend it to Penderwicks fans.
Nice.
And Another one that I really like, Miracles on Maple Hill, and
I've heard of one. I have heard of this one. I haven't
yeah,
read it, but I've heard it's really good.
yeah, yeah. Well, it was a Newbery Medal winner in the
Okay.
50s. But just, you don't see it talked about as much anymore as some of the others. Um, and my copy right now is all annotated with tabs because there's so many good lines in it. This is one that I also have listened to as an audiobook a lot. More than any other audiobook, I think I've listened to this one because it's a full cast. And it just really makes the story come to life. They had some wonderful voice actors for that one. So, yeah, I love that book. Trying to think, are there any
That's
others?
awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, we could go on and on, I
yeah.
think, but I think
I think
one of the things that kind of I like to discover new titles, and I think a lot of people do. And there's the well-known ones where you like Anne of Green Gables, you like Little Women, you like those. And one of the things I was when I started Small Home Comforts was that I wanted to talk about books that were like that kind of grew out of that. So
yeah,
so like if you like Little Women, what else is out there? If you like Anne of Green Gables, like what else is out there, because there's just so many good ones. In fact, I forgot to get it's up on my shelf, and I'm not going to get up because I've got everything here. But have you ever heard of the book Honey for a Child's Heart by Gladys Hunt? It is basically a book that is book lists. And my mother had it when we were young, and so she would choose books from this book to kind of get us started. Like we would go to the library and browse and everything. But this particular book was like a springboard for us, and they just had so many of the old good ones in there. And I think like Hattie Woodlawn and of course all of the Laura Ingalls Wilder books, and I mean just all sorts of and lesser well-known ones too. So you could kind of explore and be like, oh, there's a whole world out there of these books that you're just not being talked about anymore. So I love to hear um, the ones that you don't know about necessarily, because
yeah,
there's so much more to look forward to. Speaking of Woodlawn, this is one that I wanted to ask you. Have you ever read Baby Island?
yes, yes. I have read that one, and that was really fun. I read it for it was a vintage book challenge that I was doing a few years back.
Uh-huh.
That I was doing during the summer. It was a really good choice for my summer reading.
So
Yeah, that was a really fun one.
fun. I loved it. When I read this book as a child, I mean, I think I read it more than once. It was kind of like a dream for me. I was like, oh, could you imagine taking care of all those babies by myself? It was
Yeah, it sounds so perfect when you're a kid.
yes, yes, it sure does, on an island with like no home. But it was
Well,
just so delightful. I loved it so much. And I don't think I realized at the time that it was also written by the same author as Caddy Woodlawn.
yeah, you
So,
you wouldn't think that.
right.
Comparing the two books, they're so different.
So different, so different. But I knew that I had to get this for my daughter because I was like, I remember it when I was a kid. So I wanted to ask you. I was like, have you read this one? Because this one is not one that's talked about
No,
that much either.
no, and
Caddy
it should
Woodlawn.
be because yeah, it is really fun.
Yes, yes, that's a fun one. What else did I want? I'm sure you've read all of these, but just for our viewers, I'm going to share some good ones. All of a Kind
Yes,
Family. There's a whole series. Isn't this a good one?
yes. I love the first one especially because the little details are so good in that one.
What I remember specifically from this one is so very quickly, so you guys know a synopsis. This is a family close to the turn of the century. They're a Jewish family of 5 girls, and they've got another baby on the way. The parents have another baby on the way. And the scene that stood out to me was how the mother had everybody had to like dust the parlor or something like
Yeah,
that. They all had to take their turns. And she would put pennies like on the bottom of the furniture, and then she would know if they hadn't dusted that part, if the penny was still there. And I think they get to keep the pennies. Did they get to keep the pennies?
I think so. I think that was, yeah, part of the reward for dust.
Yeah, and as a mother, I was like, oh my gosh, genius.
Yeah.
I'm going to start doing that.
Yeah,
Then
I
I'll
love
know.
that scene. That's probably my favorite chapter too.
It sticks out, right? And then Homer Price, you've read
yes.
this one, right?
Yes, that is a good one too.
This one. I've talked about it so much. Excuse me. My favorite is the donut scene, where donuts, and oh, look, I even have it bookmarked here, where the donuts just keep, well, I guess that's the uncle, but later on in the chapter, the donuts just keep popping out and rolling down the little chute until they are overwhelmed with donuts.
Yeah.
And every time one of my kids reads this, I go to the donut shop and buy them donuts.
Oh, that's really fun. Yeah,
So
that's a
fun.
really good chapter.
I love that one. And then lastly, I'm sure you've read this one, but and this one is obviously a lot more well known, but it's just so good.
Yeah.
It's just so
Yes.
good.
That one is really, really good. And yeah, all of her books, well, actually, I haven't read all of them yet. The books that I've read of Eleanor Estes, yeah, I've really enjoyed. And actually, right now I'm rereading Pinkie Pie, which is the second book in this series.
Yes. Yes.
The first one, Ginger Pie, about the dog, and this one is about the cat. And I'm annotating this one too. So it has a bunch of tabs, and it's because there's so many good lines in it, and so many really funny lines, and that's what Eleanor Estes was so good at. Was the humor in her books. Just an absolute delight.
Yes. I agree. It's such a good one. We were laughing with the two little twins who sit there and just like, is this cat really a typewriting cat? And the father where he like, oh, I read it last year and I'm trying to remember, but it was like the 4th of July, and did he have like fireworks in between his toes or something? It was so funny.
Yes. It is really
so funny. Is this the first time you've read it?
This is the second time.
Okay.
I read it first, quite a few years ago now. But I just remembered, like, there are so many good lines in it, so I wanted to go back through and actually, like, underline them, and yeah, so it's been quite fun.
Yes. Those ones are a lot of fun. I like it. And she did another one called, she was the one with 100 Dresses, I think, right?
Yes.
Yes, I remember that one as well. But the Moffats, those are my favorite. And the Moffats, there's like, I think 3 sequels. There's the Middle Moffat, there's Rufus M, and there's Moffat Museum.
Yes. That's the last one. And I actually haven't read that last one yet. And it actually is on my to be read list for this month. So I'm hoping to get to that one.
Said soon. Well, the other thing I want to talk about too is you're contemplating a read along of Swallows and Amazons, right?
Yes. Hoping to do that one in February.
Okay, that one is fantastic. I
haven't read it
as a read aloud to my kids, and I found it to read. I wanted to move faster through it. So the read aloud was kind of like holding me back. So I want to go through it again, and because it was such a good, like, you know, they're on this island and they're doing it for themselves, and it's like a summer camp out, you know, with very minimal involvement from grown-ups, which I think a lot of this vintage children's literature that we talk about is like that, right? They have minimal, you know, the grown-ups are there, but they have minimal input, which is kind of fun.
Yeah.
Kind of adventuresome.
Yeah. Well, I have, you know, had it recommended to me a lot of times, and I know so many people enjoy it. So I'm really looking forward to, doing the read along. So looking forward to it.
So if anybody else wants to read that along with Anna Rose, you can sign up for her newsletter. You'll get all the information there. I love your newsletter. It's so newsy.
Well, good. Well, thank you.
Good one. And you also have a Patreon account as well, right? So they can follow along.
And that's where I will be doing the Swallows and Amazon read along.
Awesome. Yes, it's a good one. I recommend it. And if you like that one, there's a whole bunch of other
Oh
ones
yeah,
that come right after it. So I think there's what is it, like 9 of them or so?
I think there's
It's
like
like a lot.
a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's why I'm hoping I really like it because yeah, then it's more books to find.
Yeah, to go down that rabbit hole. Oh, Megan Atkinson says that she's joining that read along as
Oh,
well.
good.
So Megan told me she came to me from you, just won the Small Home Comforts giveaway book box that I just had. So I
Oh,
announced winning that yesterday. So she found me through you. So we're excited to
aw,
find more kindred spirits.
that's awesome.
So I do want, before you go, I wanted to ask about because I like to focus on homes and spaces and I know you've created, so before I ask the question, you've created like a little space for yourself, right? For your writing and for like when you write?
Yes, yes. I have my little writing studio now, and it's called Golden Moon Cottage.
Oh,
Um, yeah,
that's
it's really been very fun to decorate it so far. I haven't done, as much as I would like to yet, but yeah, it's coming along really well, and it's going to be a very fun space.
well, what you shared so far, it looks just lovely. So I love seeing cozy spaces, bookish spaces. We talk about that all the time here. So if you had to choose, let's just not just one, like if you were to choose, it doesn't have to be your favorite, but where would you like to visit or live? Like if you could choose a home in literature, which one would you choose to live in?
Yeah, that's really hard because there
I
are
know.
so many, but
I know.
um, probably I would choose either the house at Lantern Hill from Jane of Lantern Hill,
Okay.
or the yellow cottage that Betsy Ray lives in the first few books of the Betsy Tacy series.
We didn't even mention the Betsy Tacy series, which I did a read
Yeah,
through last
yeah,
year, but I saw you read Carney's House Party last year. I read your blog post, and I also was reading that last year, and I loved that one. But I was so sad when Betsy moved away and her family moved away from
yeah,
that yellow cottage. I, for the book that had happened, and I was a little bit like, wait a minute, what? How can she be moving away from Tacy? How can she be moving away from this sweet little place? You know,
yes,
I was kind of
yeah.
heartbroken.
Well, I grew up reading the first four books in the series, over and over as a kid. And then I think when I was 13, I started reading Heaven to
Yeah.
Betsy. And I just couldn't believe that she, was leaving the little yellow cottage and that Tib wasn't there anymore. And so, yeah, I was kind of heartbroken. And so I didn't end up finishing that book for another couple years. And it's a big change.
Yes, it was too many changes. I was like, wait a minute. I had a hard time with it as well. I had a really hard time with it because I don't know, I really like the settings. And so I was like, how can she be moving away from that hill that she and Tacy go, and Tib too go up and have their picnics and how can she like, oh my gosh, and she ended up making it so that the new house was lovely as
Yes.
well. And Tacy would come over on the way to school and so I ended up becoming reconciled to it. But anytime that somebody would leave or they would change how, and then towards the end of it when they were like living in Minneapolis,
Yeah.
because I just finished Betsy's wedding, I was like, well, wait a minute, they all left
Yes.
Deep Valley, like how could they?
Yeah. And I think that's why it's hard, yeah, to go from Betsy and Joe to Betsy in the Great World because then all of a sudden Betsy's completely by herself and yeah, it's just too much of a change.
Yes, yes, it was really hard. I didn't like Betsy in the Great World, although I had a follower tell me that that was her favorite. So I'm waiting to hear more because I need to know why. Because for me, it was like my least favorite. I was like, we're
Yeah,
not cozy.
it's like there's some fun elements to it with her travel, but it just doesn't feel enough like the regular Betsy Tacy setting, I think.
Right, right. That's that's how I felt too. So I'll have to find out why this follower liked it the best because maybe it could give me a little bit of a new perspective on that. I was trying to think of where I would live. if I could choose, and I think I'd always choose the four-story mistake. I've loved it
Oh, yeah.
since the beginning, like since I was oh, I just dropped a book, sorry. But since the very beginning of reading it, and it has it like right here in the corner, and I just
Yeah.
want to go up in that cupola and look in all four directions, like
Yes.
that's where I'd want to go.
Yeah. That would be a great choice.
Right? And they've got like, I want to go up in Rush's treehouse and I want to like hear him play the piano. I don't know. I just, this one is like, oh, it's just my favorite. I love
Yeah.
it. I recommend it all the time.
Yeah. It's
This one
such
was okay. When they left New York from the Saturdays and moved here, that was okay with me.
yes, because they're moving to such a good place.
Yes. Yes. Well, I think we'll start to wrap it up here a little bit because I don't want to keep you all afternoon, but this has been delightful.
Yes.
Usually well, first of all, before we actually end, I want to tell everybody that you have a new book coming out. You want to talk a little bit about that one?
Yes. So yeah, my third book is releasing in June, which I'm very excited about. It's called The Blossoming Summer. Um, and it's about a girl named Rosemary. She's 13 and she lives in London. And it's 1940, and she moves from London to her grandmother's in Wisconsin. And she finds out that she has Ojibwe heritage, and so yeah, that's a big surprise for her. And she her grandmother has this amazing garden, and so they bond over that, and it's just a really fun story that I hope people will enjoy.
It sounds like it's gonna be perfect for summer, especially if there's a garden. Like that
Yes,
sounds awesome. And it's available for pre-order already, or?
yes,
It is awesome. All right, guys, everybody go pre-order The Blossoming Summer because it sounds like it's going to be delightful. Awesome. Well, thank you, Anna Rose. So I like to end with what we're reading now. So would you like to share something that you're currently enjoying?
yes. So yeah, I just started. Well, actually, I had just finished a couple of books that I really enjoyed. I'll just very quickly show
Yes.
them. The Hotel Balzar by Kate DeCamillo. That one was really good. That one is more like a fairy tale kind of story. So I enjoyed that one a lot. Mystery at Pemaquid Point. This was a vintage children's mystery that was really very good. And then I just started, if I can find it, I just started rereading, well, I don't see it here. It's called The Four Graces by D.
Oh,
Stevenson.
yes,
Oh, have you
yes.
read it?
I've read it. Yes, I have. I remember it being good. Sisters,
Yes.
right? Four sisters.
Yes, there's four sisters. Yeah, and it was written during World War II. It's really good. But I'm looking forward to it because I read it the first time a few years ago, so I don't remember like every single thing about it. So that makes it fun.
Lovely. Yes, that's awesome. Well, thank you for joining us today. I'm so glad you did. I'm sure we could go on and on with book lists,
Yeah.
so we'll have to post about more book lists.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, thanks for joining me, and everyone, thank you for coming and joining us. Thanks for sticking with me as I try to deal with my technical issues here. It can only get better, right? It can only get better.
Yes. Thank you
All
all so
right.
much for watching, and thank you for having me.
Yes.
It was really fun.
Oh, of course. I'm glad you're here. All right, everyone. Have a wonderful afternoon, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.